For great Pokemon TCG product and prices, check out ccgcastle.com.
Hello Pokemon fans, I'm Professor K for the Pokemon Evolutionaries, and today we have a deck profile, but not just any deck profile. This has nothing to do with Deck Tech Thursday, it's not going to be on Battle Frontier Friday or anything like that. This is actually more of a tournament report plus a deck profile. So as you guys may or may not know, if you follow me on Twitter at PKMNProfessorK, or also, I think I posted it. No, I didn't post it on Facebook or Instagram this time, but I did post it on Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter. I participated in the 3rd annual MetaDeck Open, which is a tournament that happened in Orlando, Florida at Cool Stuff Games in Waterford. So, or I should say Waterford Cool Stuff, that's what it is. It was a $1,000 tournament, so it was a $1,000 split amongst top 8. So $400 for first place, $200 for second place, $100 for third and fourth, and then $50 for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th each. So there was actually 72 people that showed up to the tournament, and there was a lot of diversity in the decks, I have to say. It was a very, very interesting event, very well run by Cool Stuff Games and also Safraz and the MetaDeck team. If you guys live in the area or have the ability to travel, definitely look out for the next one. It's a great event. We had a great time. It was $25. You get a pack of cards. They did raffles all day long, and you have the chance to win, obviously, a decent amount of money. So I went to support my buddy, and I took along with me Demon Snow King, also Shadow TCG, and of course N came with us as well. And I decided to take with me Zygarde. Zygarde is a deck that I figured would be a decent play only because, well, Turbo Dark is a very big deck, and now Sun and Moon is out, and people are loving Tauros. Tauros GX is a great card. It punishes your opponent for them attacking you, and it does a great job at deterring attacks in the process and allowing the opponent or whoever's playing it to set up whatever they want on the bench so they can come in and take over the game. Well, I figured, what am I going to do against Tauros? What am I going to do against Turbo Dark? They're both great decks, super hard to beat, very consistent. Well, Zygarde EX. This seemed to be the deck that I wanted to put together, the only deck that I could think of that I wanted to put together that would have put in any work at all because it's a fighting type. Tauros and Darkrai are weak to fighting, so I figured I would play the odds and I would go with a deck that hits hard, hits for weakness, and also does very well at healing. So I gave it a shot and I went for it. I will tell you guys a little bit about the matchups that I had first. Round 1 I had Mega Mewtwo. Very tough matchup for Zygarde. Very, very tough matchup because I'm stacking energy on it for Land's Wrath. Now granted, yes, I'm two-shotting him. Most of the time he's two-shotting me back. It all depends on who goes first, who gets set up, and this and that. But I managed to get my Zygarde set up first. Basically draw pass, draw pass, draw pass, a lot of that. So I got really lucky in my first match against Mega Mewtwo, and I won that one. My second matchup was against Mega Gardevoir, and she also had the same problem. Not really much going on as far as drawing goes. It was a standard Mega Gardevoir, Brilliant Arrow. So she had Xerneas and, of course, the Gardevoir EX and the Mega Gardevoir EX from Primal Clash that hits for damage based upon how much Fairy Energy is in play. And Zygarde just kind of put in some work. I dead drew for a while as well, but I managed to take the upper hand and just kind of made situations work where they were crucial for me, and I took the win there. So game number 3 comes around, and I'm excited. I'm playing a very good friend of mine, Gary Robbins. We actually have faced off 3 times now. I faced off against him a couple of years ago at a city championship where he was playing Fairy Tina, and I got destroyed. I played against him at a box tournament, and he was playing Yveltal Plume, and I was playing Zygarde, and I managed to beat him. Don't know how I did it. Craziest win I think I've had in a long time, but I managed to do it. I managed to make it work, and I beat him in Vileplume, with Yveltal Vileplume. Now, this time around, I'm excited because he's playing Turbo Dark. Fantastic matchup. I'm going into it going, all right, this is in the bag. I got this. Well, here's the problem. I started the match like this. And that is all I got except for one Shaman. One Shaman, that's all I got. It was go. All right, he hits me with his Tauros for 60. Okay, Pokemon Center Lady, Fighting Fury Belt, pass. I draw into a Shaman, play it down for 1 because that's all I had, pass. PCL again after he attacks, pass. He switches into Darkrai, knocks me out. I spring up Shaman, I draw, dead, it's over, I lose. So I lost to Turbo Dark. Going into match number 4, I'm like, all right, I don't even know what I'm gonna do now. I go on stream, and I am 2-1. I go against Miranda Craig. You guys may have seen it on twitch.tv/TheMetaDeck when it was live, facing against Mega Gardevoir again. Another tough matchup, but this time it's Despair Ray. So one-shotting is not really that much possible. It's not very possible for Mega Gardevoir for Despair Ray. So I just basically played around and waited till I had a maximum amount of damage. I healed it off, and that's pretty much what saved me. But she kind of did the same thing because she Despair Rayed a Mega Gardevoir that had a lot of damage on it. Basically, it all came down to the fact that she had some terrible prizes, not really the most consistent start. I had an early Parallel City that put a lot of Pokemon in her discard pile, and she had a late game Karen. Almost had enough steam to come back at me, but I managed to pull off the win. So I was super happy about that. First of all, because it was on stream. That's the first match I've ever been on stream. And second of all, because, well, I beat a tough matchup. So I managed to beat 2 Mega Gardevoir, I beat 1 Mega Mewtwo, and then going into round number 5, I played against probably the deck I was hoping to avoid more than anything other than one, and that was Tauros Decidueye Vileplume. Decidueye hits me for weakness, Feather Arrow adds the damage that's necessary, even Zygarde with a Fighting Fury Belt, 230 HP. All it takes is Razor Leaf for 180 and 3 Feather Arrows. That's it. So most of the time, they're either one-shotting me or very, very close to one-shotting me, depending on how much damage is spread around. So I really was scared, and he never played down a Tauros, and I was under Vileplume lock for most of the game. But somehow, some way, I pulled off the win. He almost decked out. He didn't deck out. I won by knockout. I started off early. He had a Bunnelby on the bench. He attached a DCE. I hammered it away before he played Vileplume. He had to throw away a DCE out of his discard pile, or into his discard pile with something. I think it was a Sycamore, an Ultra Ball, or something like that. And then I knocked out a Decidueye that had another DCE on it. So he only had 1 DCE left in the deck, and he didn't get it until it was almost way too late. And he attached it to a Lugia. I managed to work around that and make it work. So that player was Michael Canavis, who is a pretty well-known player in the community, so I was a little bit excited about beating Michael Canavis in a game like that, where I was really, really suffering because of weakness, and in general, I just can't do much against a 250 HP Pokemon. I can 2-shot it if I'm lucky. 3-shot is really the more accurate representation of that. So that was game number 5. So by then, I am 4-1. Was it 4-1? Let's see here. Yeah, Mega Mewtwo, Mega Gardevoir, Tauros Decidueye, yes. Going into round number 6, I face another friend of mine, Franklin. I don't know how to say his last name, so forgive me if I said it wrong. I think it's Arante, Franklin Arante, something like that, Arant. I've never really asked him what his last name is. I just see him at a lot of events. He's part of TheMetaDeck as well. He was playing Turbo Dark, and I had pretty much everything I needed the entire game. I just went in hardcore, just destroyed. It was Lysander for Darkrai, knockout. Lysander for Darkrai, knockout. Lysander for Shaman, knockout. It was over that quick. It was 4 turns. So, I feel a little bit bad about that, but, you know, sometimes you just got to face your friends and you got to do what you got to do to make it work. So going into round number 7, I am now 5-1. And we pretty much determined that almost every one of the 5 1-1s would get in, so everybody ID'd. One of the single 5 1-1s got knocked out only because a 4 1-1 won their match to get in and knock him out. And that was actually the person who ended up finishing 2nd place. That is Aaron Rucker with his Umbreon Evolutions deck. Fantastic deck, by the way. He got 2nd place with that. He came in and knocked him out, and we go to top 8. So I look at the top 8 pairings, and I see I'm going to be facing my very, very, very good friend from the Chaos Gym, Raul Reddy. Raul is a very good player, very consistent, up and coming into really just becoming known as a very good competitive player. Like, he's always been good, but now he's getting to be very good, and he was playing Bees. Bees is pretty much, if I go 2nd and I Lance Pulse, I'm pretty much going to win the game because I'm going to be able to donk the Combi. Well, here's the problem. Every game we started, which it's best of 3 going into top 8, he started with 2 Pokemon. I stood no chance whatsoever. I got destroyed by Bees, hitting for weakness, and I'm only taking 1 prize to begin with. There's just no way to make it work. So I ended up finishing in the top 8. I ended up walking away with 50 bucks, 25 to enter. I ended up making 25 bucks, which I spent on food. So it was a good time. I had a great time over there. It was a lot of fun. I'm very happy to be supporting my buddy Safraz over at TheMetaDeck. Team MetaDeck in general did a great job. Bobby, the owner of Cool Stuff Games, did a great job running the event as far as the computers go. Very quick, rounds went very easily, and we were out of there, I want to say, by 11 o'clock when finals was over, when Omar won the match with Mega Mewtwo, or won the tournament with Mega Mewtwo. So I'm happy to say that I finished top 8 out of 72 Masters. Some very competitive players, big names in the game. I'm very, very happy to say that I walked in there with Zygarde, which is pretty much known as a tier 3 deck across the board, and walked over the top 8 finish against some very tough matchups. 1 Mega Mewtwo, 2 Mega Gardevoir, 1 Decidueye Tauros of Vileplume, and 1 Turbo Dark. So with that being said, guys, let me just go ahead and get into the deck profile. I know this ran over a bit, but I wanted to explain the matchups, how the tournament went, and I'm going to show you guys what I had going to make it work and make it into top 8. So first and foremost, as you know, Zygarde EX is my main attacker. Lance Pulse is its first attack for a single fighting energy. It does 20 damage. If there's a stadium in play, it does 20 more damage. Most of the time I had a stadium in play, so I was hitting for at least 40. Most of the time 60, and sometimes even 70 with a Fighting Fury Belt. Cell Storm, heal 30 damage from this Pokemon and deal 60 damage. Most of the time, at least 1 strong energy, that's 80, 90 with a Fighting Fury Belt, and I'm healing 30. Land's Wrath, 100 for 2 fighting and a colorless. Again, strong energy boosts that, and Fighting Fury Belt boosts that as well. Very, very good Pokemon. 190 HP, very awkward amount of HP against most people. And with a Fighting Fury Belt, it's 230, so it's even more awkward for them to hit those kind of numbers. I have something on my card there, and I don't know what it is, like a piece of dirt. It's just very bulky and very hard to knock out in one hit. Vespiquen is pretty much the only deck that can really get the job done against Zygarde, and even then, it's not early game, it's mostly like mid game. So, besides Zygarde, I have another Pokemon here as well, and that is going to be Carbink. This is the Carbink from Fates Collide with Safeguard. It's got 90 HP. Safeguard prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon EX. Now, we're dealing with GXs in this format now, so against GXs, this does absolutely nothing, but it does help in another aspect. Against Umbreon GX, if they use Dark Call, the Break Pokemon, which this evolves into, can get the energy back out of the discard. But Power Gem is pretty good too. Believe it or not, Power Gem is exactly what saved me against Mega Mewtwo. Power Gem was the real MVP. I left the game pretty much alone with a lone Carbink. It was just this. This was all I had. He never saw a Hex, and he never saw a Garb because it was prized. This was the very first game, by the way. I stacked up 3 strong energy on this thing. I was hitting for 100 damage. I even put a Fighting Fury Belt on it. I was hitting for 110, two-shotting his Mega Mewtwo's with Carbink. So that was fun. He couldn't do anything about it because, again, his Hex was prized and his Garb was prized. He had 3 prizes left, and 2 of them were those. So it was just really bad for him overall. I felt bad, but, you know, Carbink put in the work there. I also decided to only run 2 Carbink Break. I replaced it with something else, which you'll see here in a moment. But Carbink Break has the attack Diamond Gift, 20 damage, and attach 2 energy cards from your discard pile to one of your fighting Pokemon. That's any energy card. So that means strong energy, basic fighting, double colorless, whatever the case may be. You can attach it with the attack Diamond Gift from Carbink Break, and you get an additional 20 HP, which is nice. Also, you retain the Safeguard ability, and because this is an evolved Pokemon, if you play Silent Lab, you get your Safeguard ability because it effectively is a stage 1 Pokemon. It's a break Pokemon. It's an evolved Pokemon. So now you're not dealing with a basic Pokemon. So even with a Silent Lab, Carbink keeps Safeguard. Pretty cool combination there while shutting off your opponent's abilities. I also ran a line of Garbodor. I've got 2 Trubbish, pretty simple, but I only ran 1 Garbodor. The reason why I ran Garbodor was just in case I saw Decidueye. Also, it does stop, of course, Shaymins. It stops things like that. And not really much else. I was a little concerned about Greninja potentially too, but I didn't even see Greninja there. So I just ran the 2-1 line kind of of a safety net, just because I really didn't think of anything else I needed that badly for consistency. I did use Garb a couple of times. It was actually a little bit effective against one of my Mega Gardevoir matchups where I shut off abilities, so there was nothing there either. But it's kind of contradictory because you don't want to play Garb if Carbink is going to be a factor. You don't want to shut off your own safeguard in the matchup like against Turbo Dark or something where they're going to come after your Carbink. That could be a big problem. So, and also you don't want to shut off your own Shaymin EXs either, so that's another thing. But 2 copies of Shaymin EX set up, that way you can get your consistency going. I opted most of the time to only put down 1 Shaymin per game. I didn't want to give my opponents too much to Lysander up and knock out. At the most, I wanted to give them 1 Shaymin, maybe a Trubbish, and maybe a Carbink, so that way they're only taking 4 prizes or so. Maybe a 5th with 1 Zygarde, but taking that 6th prize, I wanted to make it as hard as possible, so I usually only played 1 per game, unless it was just absolutely necessary, and it was good to have that second copy in some of those matches. So that's it for Pokemon. We have our supporter lineup, 4 copies of Professor Sycamore, discard your hand, and draw 7. I'm going to warn you guys right now, this deck is very blinged out. I like to go to tournaments with a blinged out deck. The only thing that's not blinged is my Shaymins. They're not full arts. Everything else is, except for, I think, my max potions. Those are the only other things that I couldn't get completely blinged out. But for the most part, this is a shiny deck, so shield your eyes. We also have 2 copies of N. Each player shuffles his or her hand into his or her deck. Each player draws a card for each of his or her remaining prize cards. So N isn't really a huge necessity, but 2 of them was enough for me in most of my matchups. I didn't have a problem with them. N came in clutch a couple of times in getting my opponents out of things. It got me into things. I think a 4-2 line is pretty good for most decks these days. We also have 2 copies of Lysander. The second copy was crucial in my matchups. I'm so glad that I played the second copy. Lysander brings something up off the bench that you want to split your opponent's active with. Very, very good card. Necessity, absolutely 150%. And, I mean, I really am glad that I decided to play that second copy. I almost didn't going into the match, but I did, and I'm very glad. So, 2 copies of Lysander. Another very important card because Zygarde does very well with healing. 1 copy of Pokemon Center Lady, heals 60 damage and 1 special condition from your active or bench or whatever from one of your Pokemon, whatever the case may be. So 1 copy of Pokemon Center Lady. And the reason why I cut my Carbink was for a Professor Kukui. This is a brand new card from Sun and Moon. Draw 2 cards. During this turn, your Pokemon's attacks do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. This card won me some games, some serious games. That extra 20 damage was amazing for me in hitting those perfect numbers in some times when I did not have a strong energy, for instance, to attach to Zygarde. This did the extra 20 damage for me and got me a lot of games that way. Plus, drawing 2 is pretty good. It's like a Tierno and a Muscle Band in 1, except for you draw 1 less card. So it's a great card. I think it's a one-of in most decks anymore that aren't dealing like massive amounts of damage. I don't think it's a necessity in like Mega Rayquaza or anything like that. But most decks, I think, can benefit for a single copy of Kukui. All right, on to our items here. We have 4 copies of VS Seeker to get back our supporters out of the discard pile. Again, 4 copies, pretty much standard these days. Next up here, shield your eyes, guys. I know. 4 copies of Ultra Ball. Any deck that plays Shaymin, you have to play Ultra Ball, and I think 4 copies is pretty much necessity in most decks, and it's really no different for this one. So yes, I have 4 copies of Seeker Ultra Ball. I know, I need to get a life, but there it is. 4 copies of Ultra Ball. I opted to run 3 copies of Trainer's Mail. I don't know if 4 is a necessity anymore. 3 was very good. It did the job for me. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a trainer card you find there, put it into your hand. Trainer's Mail for me was pretty darn good. It really helped me put the pieces of the puzzle together that I needed to get in order to take some knockouts and do what I needed to do to make this deck do what it does best. We got 3 copies of Fighting Fury Belts. Some of these run 2 Fury Belt, 2 Fury Belt, 2 Power Memory. I chose to run 3 Fighting Fury Belt. This Pokemon, the basic Pokemon this card is attached to, gets 40 extra HP and the attacks do 10 more damage to the opponent's active. I use nothing but Fighting Fury Belt. As you guys will see here in a little bit, I'm going to say it now anyways, I did have Power Memory in my deck. I never used it. I really feel like Fighting Fury Belt was a better option in this case, so I use that more than anything. Also, we have 3 copies of Floatstone. These are perfect for your Carbink, so you can Diamond Gift 1 turn, retreat for free back into Zygarde and start swinging again. Obviously, you need it for your Garbs to shut down your opponent's abilities. And also, I put them on my Shaymin, just in case I was put in a situation where Lysander was played against me, I was able to retreat and get back into what I was trying to do. Also, 2 copies of Max Potion. If you guys saw on stream, I used this on one of my Zygarde with 2 strong energy, and it only had like 20 HP left, 10 or 20 HP, something like that. And I healed all of it off and attached and kept going. So Max Potion, heal all damage from one of your Pokemon if you do discard all energy attached to that Pokemon. That was a tough move for me, it really was, because I didn't have anything else on the board. I didn't even have my Carbink breakout yet. It was very risky, but it did pay off. I'm glad I did it. Very good card in this deck. Healing is a big factor as to why I think I won. Won the games that I did and got as far as I did. So Max Potion, definitely good. 2 copies of Enhanced Hammer. I cut a Flare Grunt for another Enhanced Hammer. Again, good decision. Special energy is all over the place right now, and this slowed down some opponents in some key areas where I really needed to slow them down. I definitely do not regret taking out the Team Flare Grunt for the second Enhanced Hammer. As I said, I ran 1 copy of Power Memory. I never used it. Zygarde is the only Pokemon that can utilize this tool card, and it has an extra attack, All Cells Burn, 200 damage, and you have to discard 3 energy attached to this Pokemon. So the idea is to All Cells Burn, discard the energy, 1 copy of Escape Rope, or switch into your Carbink and get the energy back, or you can Max Potion it away, then get the energy back, whatever the case is. I just never used it. I never really needed to, which was great, because it's a risky move, and it doesn't always pay off, so I was glad that I didn't have to do it. But Escape Rope, each player switches their active Pokemon with one of their bench. The opponent that you play it against has to do it first. So there you go, there's that card. Hit 2 birds with 1 stone, explain that strategy. We also have 1 copy of Silent Lab, each basic Pokemon in play, in each player's hand, and each player's discard pile has no abilities. This is what I was talking about. When you have Carbink Breakout, you still get to keep Safeguard because you're an evolved Pokemon. It's no longer basic. But unevolved, Silent Lab will shut off Carbink. It also shuts down Shaymins and Greninjas and Volcanions and anything and everything else you can imagine. Dragonites for Mega Gardevoir. That's also a key factor as well. We also have 2 copies of Parallel City. This was a key factor in my Gardevoir matchups too because, well, Gardevoir depends on bench. So does Mega Ray, but I never saw Mega Ray. Fortunately, I don't think that I would have a very good matchup against Mega Ray. But Parallel City, you can play it one of 2 ways. You can face it towards your opponent this way and have them have their Grass, Fire, Water Pokemon damage done reduced by 20. If you play it the other way, the player that this is facing will have the ability to only bench 3 Pokemon. So most of the time I was playing it this way so that my opponent could only have a small bench, but sometimes I paralleled myself to get rid of Shaymins too, so that's always good. As far as energy goes, we have a pretty basic energy lineup. We've got 4 copies of Strong Energy. Strong Energy, of course, does 20 more damage. If it's attached to a fighting Pokemon, their attacks do 20 more damage. Very, very, very good card. Basically a Muscle Band and Energy attached in one. Great card. In combination with Kukui, you can effectively hit, the hardest you can hit in this deck without Power Memory is Land's Wrath for 120, 40, 60, 80, 190, 200. You can hit for 210 with Land's Wrath without even hitting for weakness with Professor Kukui and the 4 energies. If you really, really, really wanted to go there, you could hit for that 400 weakness. And if you use Power Memory, you could actually hit for 220, 40, 60, 80, 280 damage. Completely sick. 560 with weakness. I love numbers, by the way, if you guys didn't know that. We also have 7 copies of Basic Fighting Energy. I was a little sketchy on running 7 energy. I felt like it was a little low, but you know what? I never struggled for energy, and I'm glad that I decided to give up the space for some other cards, because if I hadn't, who knows how this match would have went. I feel like I got kind of lucky in my matchups. I definitely played them as well as I possibly could, and I'm very happy with the outcome. Zygarde is not a deck that really wins tournaments, and it most of the time doesn't even top, but it has the ability to in the right circumstances. I came in there thinking I was going to hit nothing but Tauros and Darkrai, and I was wrong. I faced 2 of them, and I lost to 1 of them. I had to grind against everything else, and that is where me as a player, I feel really good about myself that I've highlighted this deck as well as I did against 3 Mega Decks and a Tauros Decidueye Vileplume. I'm really, really happy with that. Darkrai was easy the second time around. I'm just mad that I lost the first one. I could have gone undefeated and maybe not faced bees, but that's okay. It's in the past. I feel very happy with how I did with the tournament, and a very good tournament indeed, very well run. Like I said, I recommend looking out for another MetaDeck Open. I think he said he's going to start doing them a little more often, so check that out. They're going to be at the Cool Stuff Waterford store. If you guys live in the area, be sure to check it out in the coming months or so, because it'll be at least a few months before he's ready. But anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, comment down below, subscribe for more TCG content. And remember, guys, if you want to build this deck for yourself and you need the singles, check out ccgcastle.com for singles. Amazing company, great prices, and I'm really just super nice people over there. So I highly recommend you go over there and do that if you want to build the single, get the singles to build this deck for yourself. It's a fun deck, guys, I promise you, and it does really well in a format that is ruled by Turbo Dark. And it looks like Umbreon might be making an interesting appearance into the metagame based off of Aaron's performance. Second place run, losing to Mega Mewtwo. So who knows? Tauros, Darkrai, Umbreon, maybe Zygarde's the answer. I don't know. You guys have to determine that for yourself. We will see you guys next time. I'm Professor K for the Pokemon Evolutionaries. You all take care. Have a great day.